The last decade of Star Wars has been a bit of a mixed bag. For what it's worth, I'm pretty happy with the majority of it and think much of it cops a bad rap. But that's a topic for another video. One area that Star Wars fans have been beyond spoiled in is video games. Jedi Fallen Order and its sequel, Jedi Survivor, are incredible 10 out of 10 games. Not only do I like them more than the films, in my opinion they're the best two Star Wars anythings in existence. But we also got Squadrons, new Battlefront games, a bunch of classic games ported, a beautiful remake of Dark Forces, and remakes of Knights of the Old Republic and Bounty Hunter yet to come. A sequel to Jedi Survivor is in development, and Quantic Dream, the team behind Detroit Become Human, are working on a mysterious project titled Star Wars Eclipse. And now we have Star Wars Outlaws, a game that explores the underworld of the Star Wars galaxy, and supposedly the first open world Star Wars game. I feel like that last talking point is kinda bullshit, but whatever. This game is undercooked. That's its biggest and really only problem. Another 6 months in the oven and every issue I've seen, both personally and in reviews, would cease to exist. I've seen enemies walk over fences, phase through doors, stand upright halfway up ladders. I've seen riderless speeders.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Guards overspawning in the alleys of Pike-held territory. I've watched Kay phase through the floor during a stealth takedown of an Imperial technician. And if the devs patch it up over the next year or so, all those moments will be lost in time.
Like tears in rain.
I really hope they do, because Outlaws could end up being a solid 10 out of 10 game, up there with the Jedi series. And right now, it's frontrunner for my game of the year. The good in Outlaws so heavily outweighs the bad that I just don't understand where its negative reception is coming from. I want to take a second to explain where I'm coming from with Star Wars. I grew up with the original trilogy, adored it, was obsessed with it as a kid to the point where I was bullied for it. Didn't care, Star Wars is awesome. What made the prequels fall flat, and what made the Disney stuff succeed, at least partially, was that the latter felt like Star Wars. Here's what I mean. When Rey slides down the dune and her theme starts playing, that's Star Wars to me. When she scratches yet another day out on the wall, in her home inside a wrecked and rusting AT-AT, that's Star Wars to me. When she makes that green bread thing, Star Wars. Seeing the interior of the bomber in the cursed run at the beginning of The Last Jedi. Mando fighting off thugs in a meatpacking joint. The lone AT-ST terrorizing a farming village on a backwater world. Seeing Sabine feed her pet Lothcat in Ezra's old home. These things, these sometimes insignificant details, they make me feel like I'm right there. It's what the Jedi games got so right, and it's what Outlaws gets right. We see gas stations, garages, diners, bars. Just ordinary places filled with ordinary people trying to make their way in a corrupt outer rim, while the Empire slowly tightens its grip on the galaxy. There's beauty in that. It's a huge part of why I'm loving my time with Outlaws. Walking through the bustling cities, speeding over alien landscapes, sitting on a bench, listening in on two thieves talk about where they stashed their treasure. No exploding Death Stars, no light speed skipping. Just ordinary people and events in an extraordinary world. Outlaws is one of the most gorgeous game worlds I have ever experienced, rivaling, and honestly probably surpassing, the two Jedi games. For all the things it supposedly gets wrong, it gets this aspect so right. As for the rest of it, I don't have a whole lot to say. I really like Kay. She's not perfect, but she's likable and fun. I love Nix. Not only is he adorable, but he's a huge part of the gameplay, and having him pickpocket stormtroopers while Kay leans against the bar, facing the other direction, is super immersive. ND5's cool, Dunk is cool, the other characters are a mixed bag. The story's fine, the gameplay's fine, stealth can get a little messy, but everything else has worked well for me, and most importantly, has been heaps of fun. Sure, it isn't perfect, but I honestly think they knocked it out of the park. I've had so many organic situations and encounters that feel straight out of one of the films. Watching Nick steal a comlink from a gang affiliate in a busy marketplace, only for Kay, not looking where she's going, to walk straight into two patrolling stormtroopers and blow the whole thing. Using Nix to distract a stormtrooper while Kay knocks out another one, only to get caught and have to blast her way out. These moments and others weren't scripted, but like I said, they felt straight out of one of the films.
Conversation anyway.
I don't think it's wrong for gamers to have high expectations, and I don't think studios should overpromise and underdeliver. I was as disappointed as anyone with the launch of Cyberpunk 2077. I bought a PS4 back in 2018 after seeing the E3 video and got the game on launch. Back then I was housebound. recovering from surgery at the time, and I was super depressed. I was counting the minutes until this game showed up at my door, so you can imagine my disappointment. And the fact that CD Projekt Red got the Labor of Love award for basically doing the bare minimum 2 years after the game released is a massive cop-out. Anyway, that's way off topic. The first Mortal Kombat was made by 4 people over like 10 months. Wild Guns was 5 people over 5 months. Donkey Kong Country started with a team of like 12 and ended with a team of 20. Outlaws had over 600 people working on it. The industry has experienced exponential growth over literal decades, resulting in these huge studios pouring 8 to 9 figure sums into projects, with teams in the hundreds. And it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, the fact that we live in a time where we're getting games like Red Dead Redemption 2, The Last of Us Part 2, Jedi Survivor, the Resident Evil remake series, and yes, Star Wars Outlaws, is something I am super grateful for. Games have reached and surpassed everything us 80s and 90s kids dreamed they could be. It is an amazing time for video games, and I am so grateful I get to experience it. But it's not sustainable. Too many moving parts, too many variables. Shareholders expecting a good report that quarter might twist the studio's arm into releasing an unfinished product, sacrificing quality and long-term growth for short-term gain. The sheer amount of money invested in a project might stop some of the more out-there ideas, both in gameplay and theme, from taking precedence. Opting for a more all-round gaming experience to please as wide a demographic as possible, and turning the game into a generic experience that fails to stand out in an oversaturated market, and in turn having the inverse effect of appealing to less people. So what am I getting at? The modern gaming industry has its problems, but we are so fucking lucky to be living in a time where the standards for AAA games are so high. When a game like Outlaws, a massive, beautiful, and most importantly fun adventure through a galaxy far, far away, is seen as a failure for having the occasional bug, you know gamers have it too good. Red Dead 2 had bugs. Witcher 3 had bugs. Jedi Survivor had bugs. Cyberpunk was more bug than man. These games are beloved now. I truly feel that Outlaws is good enough to join them, but like everything else in life, if you hyper-focus on the small and ultimately negligible negatives, then you miss out on the brilliance surrounding it. If you're a Star Wars fan, I think you should check this game out. If you're on the fence, wait until there's a sale or something. Just don't take the negativity at face value. Your mileage may vary, but I'm well over 30 hours into the game. I've barely scratched the surface, and I'm still loving it. I can't say that about a lot of games.